So you've got this brilliant idea for a website, right? Or maybe a web app. You're all fired up, you're ready to create, and then bam, you hit that first massive technical wall. Well, today we're going to talk about how to leap right over that wall in minutes so you can get back to what actually matters, building that amazing idea. Let's dive in. I mean, come on, who hasn't had that itch, that drive to build something from the ground up, put it out there on the web, and share it with the whole world? It's a powerful feeling. And this is usually where that awesome dream comes to a screeching halt. You start hearing words like servers, databases, config files, and suddenly the whole thing just feels impossible. Trust me, you are not alone.
You know, this isn't just a beginner's problem. It's a classic developer's dilemma. Before you can write even one line of code for your actual project, you suddenly have to become like a systems administrator. This is really the heart of it. To make a modern, dynamic website, you need a web server like Apache to actually show the pages, a database like MariaDB to hold all your data, and a language like PHP to make it all work. Getting those three things to talk to each other correctly, yeah, it can be a real headache. But what if you could just skip all of that? What if you had a single toolkit that set everything up for you, perfectly, every single time? Well, guess what? That tool totally exists. Let me introduce you to XAMPP.
Okay, I know. That's the official definition, and it sounds kind of dense. So let's translate. Free and open source mean it won't cost you a dime, and cross-platform just means it works whether you're on Windows, a Mac, or a Linux machine. Simple as that.
And this is what it really means for you. XAMPP is like a magic box that turns your own computer into a full-blown development server. It's your own private workshop for building and testing websites, right on your desktop.
And this is how simple that whole complicated setup process becomes. It's literally 3 steps. You download one file, you run the installer, and you're ready to start coding. No, seriously, it is that easy.
So what's all this magic that's packed inside that simple installer? Well, the name itself kind of gives it all away. Let's break down what XAMPP actually means. All right, let's go letter by letter. The X is for cross-platform. We already covered that. It works anywhere. The A is for Apache. That's the powerhouse web server that does the heavy lifting of serving your pages. The M is for MariaDB, the database where you'll store everything from user accounts to blog posts. And finally, you get 2 Ps. Those stand for PHP and Perl, the scripting languages that bring your website to life.
And here's a fun little piece of trivia for you. For years, that M in XAMPP actually stood for a different database, MySQL. But way back in 2015, they switched over to MariaDB, which is a more community-driven version, and that's what you get today. So, beyond just those core pieces of software, what else do you actually get inside this all-in-one toolkit? Let's take a look.
Okay, so you get the main stack we talked about, Apache, MariaDB, and the languages. But here's a huge bonus. It also includes something called PHP MyAdmin. This is an awesome, super simple web tool that lets you visually manage your database. You can create tables, add data, all without having to type a single line of scary database code. And believe it or not, it doesn't stop there. XAMPP also bundles in other useful little tools, and, this is really cool, it gives you simple installers for popular apps. So if you want to play around with building a WordPress site, you can get one up and running with just a couple of clicks.
Now, we've talked about how powerful and easy this thing is, but, and this is a really important but, with that ease comes a big responsibility. We need to talk about where you should, and more importantly, where you should not use AMP.
So here's the absolute #1 thing to remember. XAMPP is your personal sandbox. It's your workshop, your testing ground. It was built specifically for developing and testing websites on your own computer, where nobody else on the internet can get to it.
And don't just take my word for it. The official documentation says it best. To make development fast and easy for you, XAMPP is intentionally set up to be wide open. Many important security features are disabled by default. It just doesn't have the locks and alarms that a real live server needs.
Think of it this way. That lack of security is actually a feature, not a bug. It gets rid of all the friction so you can just focus on building your thing. But putting a server setup like this on the public internet, that's like leaving your house with the front door wide open and a sign that says, "Come on in."
Okay, so now that we know what XAMPP is, what it does, and, most importantly, how to use it safely, we can get back to the really fun part.
All right, let's do a super quick recap. First up, XAMPP is your all-in-one personal web server in a box. Second,
It's totally free and unbelievably easy to install. Third, it is the perfect playground for building and testing stuff on your own machine. And finally, the big one. It is a fantastic tool for development, but not for live servers on the internet.
You see, that huge technical wall we talked about at the beginning is just gone. The barrier between your idea and your very first line of code has been completely torn down. So, really, the only question left is, what amazing thing are you going to build first?